I felt that it was really powerful. And I think I'm almost there, but I would like my sexuality back.
Well, you know where sexuality is? It's right over there with alignment. It is. So get aligned and it will be there, or even get in the vicinity of it. Do you remember what you felt like on the whole when you were feeling that sexual energy?
Yes, I do.
Well, give us some description of it. On second thought, we'll give you some multiple choices. Did you feel more in love with life or discouraged about life then?
I love life. It was a freedom that I had, and nothing bothered me. It was just a freedom.
So you had a zest for life that was pulsing through you in every way because your stream was moving rapidly and you didn't have a whole bunch of things that you were fussing and worrying about that were holding you back from the momentum of the stream. So when you identify that and you're hearing it clearly, now just ask yourself, what are the main components of my life today that I'm using as my excuse to fuss and worry? What are you fussing and worrying about?
Marriage and children.
So, for example, what comes up most often?
The amount of time, the responsibility.
All right, so this emotion that you're describing, during which you are using the word responsibility, has an emotional component that we want you to try to identify. Does it feel like...
It drags me down.
It drags you down. It's logical to use those words. Does it feel like resentment?
Very much so.
And resentment's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because resentment, it's really close to bondage, because what it says is, I've made my bed and now I have to lie in it. In other words, resentment says, I made choices that I must keep that make me feel not good. That's the best description of resentment that we could give. I have to feel a way I don't want to feel because of the conditions. And that is the biggest lie that humans tell themselves, because you have the option of feeling differently without the conditions changing. But you didn't know that then. In other words, the reason you felt full of yourself and the reason you felt your sexuality flowing and the reason you felt so free is because then the conditions of your life that you were merely observing allowed you to feel that way. Now the conditions have changed and now you're looking at those conditions and you don't feel that way. And you think, I've got to change the conditions, but I'm not willing to do that. I don't want to get rid of my family. I don't want to get rid of all that is, but I would have to do that in order to go back to the free feeling. And we want you to know you don't have to change the conditions. You just have to little by little get pointed more downstream, because it's not the conditions changing that make you feel resentment. It's the vibration. It's the direction of your thoughts, you see. So give us an example of something that causes you to feel in a sharper way than usual that resentment. And we put the word there for you, but it is close to what we're feeling. And we don't want you to feel bad that you feel resentful. In fact, we're glad that your fingers are sensitive enough that you can feel that hot stove. We want you to recognize that you've got some chronic thoughts that aren't letting you go with the flow. And we also want to remind you that in all that feeling of being held back, you've been launching so many rockets of desires of wanting more freedom that you've got a very, very fast moving stream going, and you gotta let loose and go with it. And when you do, oh, the feeling of freedom and sexuality will return to you in a very powerful way. So give us an example of,
Well,
the nitty-gritty.
Okay. Well, here's a recent one. I just bought a motorcycle because it just seems like freedom. And I have 2 young children, and I can't go off and leave and ride my bike because I have them at home.
So the motorcycle represents freedom, and the children represent bondage.
Yes.
Well, a lot of people feel that way. So now let's talk through it. So I can't go ride my bike because I have these kids. And in this way of saying it, it feels very upstream. Now, try to find something that softens that. In other words, we don't want you to fix it, and we don't want you to ride your bike while you're feeling that way either. We want you to find a way of not riding your bike right now and not feeling resentment. We want the condition not to change, but we want the resentment to go away. So how might you go about that? You see, because if you use the bicycle to inflame your resentment, then that's counterproductive, and that's sort of what you've been doing.
Yes, because I scarred myself. So I knew that I wasn't in line.
That's why they don't want you to ride your bike while you feel resentment. So try to make that feel more downstream without changing anything in terms of the condition. How could you soften your feeling of resentment?
I think that's where I'm having my problem.
All right, so here's what we would do. We would say things like, I don't really want to ride my bike every hour of the day, just on occasion. I don't want to be with my children every hour of the day, just on occasion. I like being with my children. I loved them coming into my life. And I like so much of the time that I'm with them. I believe that I can manage my life better and better so that I can have my children and my bike too. I just have to figure this out, and I will. And meanwhile, isn't it lovely that I have this bike? And isn't it lovelier that I have these children?
That feels good.
Now your resentment just went away.
It did.
Now, nothing changed in terms of riding the bike, but the resentment went away. So now let's say that that bike's out there and you really want to ride it, and you are now feeling slightly better. And now, if you've done that a day or two or three or four, and you've managed to soften the resentment to the point that you wouldn't even call it resentment, you'd call it, hope I get to ride my bike soon, instead of feeling resentful that you can't. Now, somebody says to you, I'd love to watch children while you ride your bike. Or, how long do you think you want to be gone? A week? No. Huh. In other words, why don't I watch your kids while you take a quick spin around the block or whatever? In other words, you'll begin to see that as you feel differently, the universe can yield to you things that match your different vibrational stance. When you feel this way, everything matches that. And you know what matches resentment? Nobody comes to help you. Nobody knows you're alive. Nobody tries to help you out. Nobody seems to see you. You seem to be invisible. Your children are ornery, even though you're sacrificing your entire bike riding life for them.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
When you feel that way, those are the kinds of manifestations you must have. But once you release a little bit of that, and now you're loving your children, you're loving your bike, different manifestations match that vibrational balance, you see? So you just keep shifting and shifting until before you know it, people are saying to you, you are the best mother I've ever seen, and I've never known anybody that spends so much time on a motorcycle. How do you find the time? And you say, I don't know, it just seems to show itself to me. People are coming from out of the woodwork. People are wanting to be with my kids. My kids are loving this. Look, that's my newfound nanny following me on my bike in her car with my kids. We're going up a mountain, and when we get there, we're going to have a picnic. And when they get bigger, they'll be on the back of the bike. And when they get bigger still, they'll have a bike.
There you go.
Yes. You are powerful creators, and it is delightful to visit with all of you. We've enjoyed this interaction more than words can explain. It is especially delicious to us because we see what's in your vibrational escrow, and we know the deliciousness of the contrast that caused you to put it there. We also know the deliciousness of the journey between where you are now and the full manifestation of it. We also know that there will never really ever be a full manifestation of what's in your vibrational escrow because you are putting more stuff in it all the time. So there's no ending to the river, there's no ending to the universal assistance, there's no ending to the potential for the joy that is there, there's no ending to the composing, there's no ending to the music, there's no ending to the ideas, there's no ending to that which you are. You are eternal beings, and you've come into what we see as the perfect environment of contrast to birth desires. And we want to say to you, if this time-space reality in which you are focused has the wherewithal to inspire within you a desire, it has the wherewithal to provide every component necessary for the full-blown manifestation of that desire. But you can't get there unless you feel good. So the first order of business in the creating of the money you want, the relationships you want, the music you want, the books you want to write, the relationships you want with your children, your relationship with life, your first job is to work toward seeing this moment through the eyes of Source, and this moment through the eyes of Source, and this moment through the eyes of Source. And we think that you think that the eyes of Source is so grandiose that it wouldn't be interested in the nitpicking little thing that you're dealing with now, but it is. The eyes of Source are looking at everything that you're looking at, and in a way that you must find alignment with. When you meet someone who's rude, the eyes of Source are seeing them differently than you are in your determination that they are rude. You want to see if you can find in them what the Source within you has found within them, and when you fixate on that, they cannot be rude to you. No one can be rude to someone who's looking through the eyes of Source. No one who is looking at life through the eyes of Source can experience the absence of something that they want, because when you're looking at anything through the eyes of Source, you're a vibrational match to everything that you want, because the eyes of Source are fixated on the vibrational escrow that you have put there, you see. So the relationship that you are looking for is this one, this closing of the gap. Nothing is more important than that I feel good. Today, no matter where I'm going and no matter what I'm doing, it is my dominant intent to look for that which I'm wanting to see, to find the best feeling place that I can find, no matter what this business that is before me is. So I'm driving through traffic, and the guy comes around me and he cuts me off and then slows down, and he's right in front of me, and now I'm going slower than I was going before he came, and he's making it worse because he's flipping me off and trying to make it look like I did something wrong. And now I have a decision to make. I can see him through the eyes of Source, or I can feel the resentment that is more natural to me right now. So I decide to see him through the eyes of Source, and I think, I really don't know what's going on in his experience. I have no idea what kind of things are happening to him. And since I cannot possibly analyze it with any sort of effectiveness, then it's best for me to just make up my own version of him. And my own version of him is, what he just did, even though it seemed to involve me, really was not about me. It's something to do with what's going on with him. And oh boy, do I wish him well, because I don't want anyone to go through life feeling like that. Now you're seeing him through the eyes of Source. Now you're seeing him in a different way than you saw him just a moment ago, because you decided to see him through the eyes of Source. You see something on television, they tell you that the economic market is about to collapse, especially the housing market, and it gives you a feeling of discomfort in your belly, and you're not sure how it will affect you. You're not looking at it through the eyes of Source. You're letting whatever is being said to you on the television affect the way you look at it. You're being encouraged to see it in a way that the Source within you is not seeing it, and because you're seeing it in the way the Source within you is not seeing it, you are not allowing yourself the benefit of what you want. All the time you've had this house, all the time you've had this relationship with money, you've been putting things in vibrational escrow, and the Source within you is over there tending to that and holding that vibrational stance. And now what you just saw on television has influenced you into a vibration that's not in vibrational alignment with what you want and with what is already in your vibrational escrow. So you got to find a way of thinking about that better. So you say, I don't really know what's going on, and I don't think they really know what's going on either. And they are the media that always gets their money by stirring us up, because they believe that we worry about things and that's why we watch them. And so maybe it is why I've been watching them, because I've been worried and because I'm looking for things that I'm worried about too. And so I'm not going to worry about this because I don't really think they know, and because I believe that my Source is seeing it differently, and my Source certainly has broader view than whatever this guy is that's looking from his very predetermined view. And anyway, he has some axe to grind of his own that doesn't have anything to do with me. And so I'm going to find a way of feeling better about this, which is simply, I don't know enough about it to even think about it, and so I'm going to relax and just expect that things will turn out better for me, and they always do, and I'm doing all right. And so now you're beginning to see it through the eyes of Source. In other words, it's that everyday, moment by moment, thought by thought determination to feel a little better than the knee-jerk response that might be given to you, and before you know it, you will begin to see everything in your worldview through the eyes of Source. And as you do that, you're going to feel the exhilaration of life that you came forth to live. You won't feel lazy, and you won't feel uninvolved, and you won't feel detached from the deliberate creating that is going on in your life. You are the creator of your experience. We have enjoyed this interaction immensely. There is great luck here for you.